Okay, Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers, alphabetical order. We're doing Quintilian, letter Q. Quintilian ran a school to teach oratory in Rome. And of course, his hero was Cicero. Cicero is considered by many people the greatest orator of all time. And so here's some of the quotes from the great teacher, Quintilian. He lived from 35 to 100 AD. He said, God, that all-powerful creator of nature and architect of the world, has impressed man with no character so proper to distinguish him from other animals as by the faculty of speech. Yeah, so the biggest difference between humans and animals is that humans speak. Okay? And Aristotle had said something similar and basically said, because the things that most distinguish man from the animals are his ability in thinking and his ability in speech, he should make the utmost effort to develop his ability to speak and to think. Okay, Quintilian continues. The highest aim is to speak well. The art of speaking is the foundation of all arts. That has been the way it is for over 1,000 years, because men would have to speak in a public conference area, and the man who could speak the best would distinguish himself. There's another quote, I forgot to include it in here, by Winston Churchill. He said, there's nothing like oratory. Oratory can make a commoner into a king. So you can sort of rise up from a lower class to a higher class publicly by being a good speaker. Quintilian, words are the tools with which we shape the thoughts and influence others. So, it's kind of like dressing nice. If you dress nice, people think, well, gee, you're more educated, you're more wealthy, you're less likely to be violent, okay? And if you can speak well, they'll also think you're more intelligent. I mean, for example, look at the English language. The English accent, people from England. Just because they've got that English accent, they sound more intelligent, whether they are or not. Rhetoric is the art of speaking well. So rhetoric is like an impact booster. Knowing the rhetoric forms are like templates that energize the words. Rhetorical figures give power to our words. The perfection of art is to conceal art. I've heard other people say that, you should not tell other people the secrets of how you got good at something, because then it makes it seem like it's a more special thing. An orator is a good man who is skilled in speaking. Undue severity in correcting the faults of a student is liable at times to discourage a boy's effort. An orator is far more active and far superior to a philosopher. A great orator must be expert in the whole art of public speaking, as well as in knowledge of all subjects and in wisdom. Yeah, because they didn't have, it wasn't that easy to write notes in those days. You didn't have a regular pen and pencil the way we have one now on paper. Guys were pretty good at memorizing things. You use all those memory strategies to memorize the key points of an entire speech. Quintilian, study depends on the goodwill of the student, and this is a quality that cannot be secured by compulsion. Yeah, the student has to want to learn. It's like a patient has to want to be cured and be willing to do it for them to get better. You can't push somebody up a ladder. Quintilian continues. It is the strength of feeling combined with the energy of the intellect that renders us eloquent. A good orator connects with both the intellect and the emotion of the audience. Promptitude of speaking can be retained only by practice. The best practice is daily conversation with persons whose knowledge and wisdom we respect. Yeah, it's good to have at least one friend that you can have an intelligent conversation with, because for most of us, it's not that easy to have an intelligent conversation. There's not many people that want to have an intelligent conversation. A lot of people are not able to have an intelligent conversation. For example, I like talking about books. How many people read books and want to talk about them? Not too many. Quintilian, writing and speaking are mutually beneficial. By writing, we speak more accurately. By speaking, we write more easily. I had the experience that a lot of times younger people, when I was like in my training, and there'd be like younger residents around, and also times when I work with younger attendings or when I teach resident or students, they really like me teaching them, and it's kind of good for me too, because it motivates me to read, to practice, to think. Writing and speaking are mutually beneficial. We already did that one. The best orator is the best man. A perfect orator would be a perfect man. Quintilian. So obviously, because he teaches oratory, he thinks oratory is the most important thing. Just like Percy Bysshe Shelley thinks poets are the most important. Just like Aristotle thinks philosophers are the most important. Okay, now we're going to do a couple quotes about quotations. So first, some neologisms, new words. A quotographer is somebody who saves quotes. A quotography is a list of someone's quotes. Quotology is the study of quotes. Quotationality is a person's intellectual identity based on what they quote. Quotations enable you to get increased credibility by just citing the experts of, the person quoted. Like if you want to say that fat is bad, you say, well, McDougall and Pritikin say that fat is bad. Okay, and you increase your expertise level, your authority sounding level. Some brief quotes are so elegant and concise that the matter sounds permanently resolved. Quotations are the gold mine of the human mind, the silver pearls of the wisdom ocean. Mehmet Ildan. Winston Churchill. It is a good thing for an educated man to read books of quotations. I think it's good for everybody. When you go through these quotations, it's great reading it on the loo when you're making a number two. You've got nothing else to do, and it becomes much more entertaining. Plus, you can read small amounts and retain the material better. And then, of course, you just mark them, and then later on, add them to other things. It's a way to spice up whatever you write the rest of your life. I got involved in all this quote stuff because when I came out of college, I was pretty nerdy. All I did in college was wrestle and study. And so my family would mock me, saying I was an autistic nerd. And I collected all these jokes, and I would tell jokes, and I collected all these quotes, and I had a lot of fun with that. But then all of a sudden around the year 2000, everybody became offended by everything, so you no longer could tell jokes. Everybody was a victim group, except the white Christian male, of course. You can dump a load of crap on him, on Christians and on him. But other than that, you really couldn't make fun of people at all anymore. And you couldn't tell lots of these old jokes. So sort of like all that, I had thousands of pages of jokes. All of a sudden, can't tell jokes anymore. Anyways, let's go to the next quote here. I have heard that nothing gives an author so much pleasure as to find his words respectfully quoted by other learned authors. Ben Franklin. Quotation is the highest compliment you can pay to an author. You know how you can pay an author a compliment? You want to support this channel? Please write a review at Amazon of any of the books. Even if you think the book sucks, say the book sucks. A writer would rather have bad reviews than no reviews. No reviews is painful and boring and degrading, okay? Bad reviews, you can say, okay, the person's an asshole, but at least they found the book interesting. Okay, Brendan Behan, the Irish writer, he says, a quotation in a speech, an article, or a book is like a rifle in the hands of an infantryman. It speaks with authority. It stands out. A quote stands out. It's a way to make a book more entertaining. I've read plenty of books where I thought the book sucked, but there were good quotes in it, and I would just look at all the quotes. Maurice Chevalier, it is always the same. Women bedeck themselves with diamonds and furs, men with wit and quotations. Mary Pettibone Poole, the next best thing to being clever is being able to quote someone who is. Oscar Wilde, quotation is a serviceable substitute for wit. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the next best thing to saying a good thing yourself is to quote one. Okay, hope you found that helpful.